Welcome back to the show. Israel has been the focus of anger from human rights groups around the world for its treatment of Palestinians, including what some say has at times amounted to torture of prisoners. Here is part 2 of my interview with the former Israeli spy master, Efraim Halevy. You've described sort of a new model for war. I've even heard you use the term World War III.
9/11 began World War III. That's the beginning of World War III. And not only is it the beginning of World War III, it's going to be the longest war in modern times. We now have passed the 8th anniversary, and I don't think we're still a third through of this war.
So you've characterized this as a new war that's going to last decades, a new form of war with non-state actors. And yet you have a country like Iran, which is a legitimate country, yes, member of the United Nations, established country, that is clearly part of this, right? I mean, what is Iran's role in this new war?
Iran has two roles in this. First, as a state, it is propagating the destruction of another state, another member of the United Nations. Just as Iran is a member of the United Nations, Israel is a member of the United Nations. Iran is officially propagating the disappearance, shall we say, the removal of Israel from the face of the earth. That is one aspect of this. Secondly, Iran is practicing the art of terrorism as if it was a non-state actor. You have here the emergence of the Revolutionary Guards, the IRGC, as a state within a state. In other words, the Revolutionary Guards are not just a power of the state. They are becoming a power inside the state, almost equal to the state. So you're going to have a situation in which you have a state actor and a non-state actor together.
In addition to everything you've said, Iran also has nuclear aspirations. What would a Middle East look like with a nuclear Iran, in your opinion?
I think, first of all, it would be a very unstable region. I think it would be a region which
I'm sorry, but it's
not
already
very stable at the moment.
region.
I agree, yes. But even more unstable. And it would have a ripple effect internationally, a very serious international effect. It would encourage other countries in the region to arm nuclear-wise. In other words, it would start off a race for obtaining nuclear capabilities on the part of many other countries in the Middle East. And it will also probably accelerate the desires of non-state actors, terrorist groups, to try and get their hands on a nuclear capacity, a nuclear device of sorts. Having said this, I'd like to make something very crystal clear. In my view, it is a mistake to describe Iran as an existential threat to Israel. I believe that the state of Israel, the existence of the state of Israel is not in question. And I believe that Israel has the means, the power, and I'm not talking about something specific here or there, I'm talking the overall power and capability of dealing with any threat of any kind which is directed against it, including that of Iran.
Well, that's one argument that I've heard, that Iran, perhaps it's inevitable that Iran will get nuclear weapons if it wants it, and Israel has nuclear weapons. There's mutual deterrence. The Soviet Union and the United States lived with nuclear weapons for decades, and although we did come close to the brink of war a few times, there was never a nuclear war because of that mutual fear. Would Israel balance out Iran in that way and keep it in check, and perhaps keep the whole region in check?
On the question of whether Israel does or does not have a nuclear, let's not go into the question. I'm not sure that it has or it hasn't. Right. That's not the issue. But I'll say something else in this respect, which maybe is of more importance than whether Israel does or does have.
No, I mean, the question isn't whether it has it or not. Yes. Let's just say, for the sake of argument, it does. If it did.
Had Israel had,
right.
Yes, I think the comparison, as the old man said, is odious. because to compare the Iran to the Soviet Union, even in terms of the methodology of government, the structure of government, is, I think, something which is beyond the, shall we say, the confines of reason.
Well, look, I mean, Khrushchev said, "We will bury you" to the United States. And that's essentially, we'll wipe you off the face of the earth, just like Iran says to Israel.
Yeah, Khrushchev said, we will bury you. It was a euphemism. When Ahmadinejad says, we will destroy the state of Israel, it's not a euphemism, it's in practice.
One of the arguments I've heard in the Pentagon has presumably standing plans to invade Iran. And the Bush administration seriously talked about this, that if Iran were to be attacked, the consequence of an attack on Iran would be so catastrophic, Iran would attack Saudi oil facilities, which would completely destabilize the world economy. The level of anger within the Arab world would rise exponentially. That is enough to stop any attack on Iran. Do you buy that as an argument? Is it impossible to attack Iran?
I buy the argument that attacking Iran is the very last resort, the very, very last resort. And I believe that if it would become necessary to attack Iran, then I am convinced that the result of such an attack, and I've said this before, would be something in the nature of several scores of years of, shall we say, of impact on the region as a whole and also as beyond. But having said this, it's always a question of options. And if the option on the downside is that rather than risk these inevitabilities which you have mentioned, let us sacrifice a country or two and prevent Iran from attacking the oil fields of Saudi Arabia and so forth, I know of no country which wants to offer itself as a sacrificial lamb in order to save the world and from Iranian anger. I don't think that this is a viable option. Hamas are on the road to becoming traitors to the cause of international Islamic terror.